So in the 1990s, there was a cadre of early internet companies. A lot of people saw the early days of the internet as this unique idea that let people exchange information in ways that were much more personal than having to call somebody and that's all you get. Maybe a group phone call, but that's expensive. And so like it was connecting people in unique and interesting ways. And it was also introducing multimedia to people in ways that previously it was very much a non-interactive model. You would watch TV and there would be big producers of television programs. But instead, this became something that was more interactive. And so there were early companies that were starting to jump on top of this. Now, of course, at the time, we didn't have significant bandwidth, so there wasn't, you couldn't do live chats over video. You couldn't have streams like Twitch. Like, these things were not yet viable because the technology was lacking at the time. But nevertheless, the dreamers and the idealists of this created these very large companies. You'd find them in the field of search engines like Google kicking things off, Alta Vista, Yahoo, of course. You had these e-commerce companies that started to differentiate into small silos like pets.com very, very infamously. And then you had even online delivery services. The very first case of online delivery, if you want to call it that, was actually like Pizza Hut had opened up a online portal where one specific Pizza Hut was running a server that would take these requests in and then they would just basically send it out to all of the different Pizza Hut branches across the country. And that was how they kind of like kickstarted the whole idea of online delivery of food. And then there was also actual online delivery of restaurants that was attempted in the late 1990s. Very few people remember it because it wasn't successful. And then there was also, of course, the internet service providers. Like you had your CompuServe, you had Prodigy, you had America Online or AOL. And then you started to see this shift. Early 2000, around March or so. There were so many of these companies that had propped up these IPOs and they were, after it all. They were trying to dominate the market under whatever it was that they were trying to do. And realistically, they didn't have business plans that panned out under the current state of the technology that existed at the time, the progress and trajectory that technology was able to make during that time. And of course, you had a broader economic conditions that were starting to push down on things. And so by consequence, you had what was the dot-com bubble bursting. And there were a few companies that had just started shortly before then. And oftentimes they were in some of those domains that were ending up largely producing a bunch of failures of companies. So you had Yahoo and Google, you had Amazon and eBay. And besides AOL, you had like this cadre of small internet companies that were starting to get into more niche services like high-speed broadband, because at the time that wasn't niche, it was expensive. And they were laying down the groundwork of things that they knew were going to take a long time to achieve. And the market, of course, punished them significantly, but they made the right decisions to ensure that they were in it for the long haul, that they were making generational decisions that they'd be able to capture or capitalize on in the years to come when everybody else was making these short-term decisions that were just not feasible for a business. And so, as a consequence, after the dot-com bubble bursted and all of these other companies had died out, you then had basically Amazon, eBay, PayPal, of course, from the eBay generation. You had a few different ISPs, and you had, of course, Google and Yahoo that were basically dominating the industry and becoming titans. And so this is what I'm basically seeing, again, to draw a parallel in crypto today. Unlike the other two categories where it's the difference of what you can do or a quality enforcement bar, in this case, it's a planning for long term, like planning for the long-term generations of what technology is going to be able to enable. And so these are the three pillars that I think of historically as playing out in crypto all at the same time. And there's a lot of overlap, of course, in how these stories played out and the ideas that formed around them. But I think it's important to think about these because these parallels are how we are defining what we're doing as a company and what we're doing for the protocol in order to ensure its long-term success.